So before we bring on Jake Fine, I just want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the news. How crazy is Twitter these days? Wow, it is crazy, crazy, crazy. You know what? Let's say that. I can see Jake. He's fighting at the chomp here. So, Jake, welcome to the show today. We're really pleased that you had a time to come on today.
Hi, it's a real pleasure to be here.
That's great. So I know you're taking our accessible media courses, which is great. Before we get to that, if you don't mind sharing how you found the Disability Channel and your connection to the channel.
Yeah, so I was introduced to the Disability Channel through a good family friend. She knew that I was in an online program at the beginning of this year, and that didn't quite work out. So she introduced me to this program, and I tried out, and I did some research on it and was very interested. So it was an exciting opportunity to find out about. And
how long have you been in the course now, Jake?
I have been in the course since September, and it is now December. So it's about three odd months, 4 months.
That's great. And you can tell our viewers a little bit what you've learned, perhaps like that. You don't have to go in depth, but is there something that really sticks out in your mind that, wow, I really like this, or something like that?
So the program is mainly focusing on creating media that's basically helpful to understand for people who may have difficulties visually, auditory, or any kind of disability that may affect any kind of communications ability.
That's great.
Basically, to communicate information as clear as possible.
And do you have a goal? Do you have a sort of a vision of where you'd like to take your new skill? Besides, obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about your music interest, but besides that, is there anything else that you'd like to sort of say, oh, I want to take this skill and maybe do this if there's an opportunity?
Well, I'm hoping to be able to find work within the entertainment industry and try and figure out where exactly I fit in. I am a suitor of many hats. I try a lot of different medias. Like I did the paintings behind me, and I do music, and I sculpt, and I've done all sorts of crazy things. So I'm just trying to see where I can take these skills and where they can lead me.
Is that Kramer behind you?
It is the Kramer behind me.
Wow, that's a great. You did that?
No, that I found, but these paintings I
okay,
made.
That's awesome. I know that picture. I know I'm a big Seinfeld fan, so that's great. And if you wouldn't mind, because I know a lot of times I ask people who join our program, if you could maybe describe a little bit about your disability, if that's okay. I mean, myself, I have an internal illness. I know a lot of people go, well, you don't look disabled, but you can have an internal illness and be disabled. So if you'd like to share, but if you don't, that's okay too.
Yes. So I have generalized anxiety disorder and ADHD. So it just makes learning things takes a lot more focus. Like a lot of the online stuff took a little bit more energy, and sometimes things aren't necessarily learned in the first lesson. I may have to revisit things, or I have to just continuously work at them. And the anxiety is just sort of another layer of just, this is like, oh, sometimes I have trouble in large crowds, or it's hard to understand what someone's trying to communicate. And it's just a little extra layer, but it's something that's helped shape me as a creative individual, and has inspired a lot of artistic and just work ethic.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because I know a lot of people go through, especially with COVID, with the last couple of years, there's been a lot of anxiety, a lot of not knowing, a lot of uncertainty. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And how do you sort of, like you said, I know you mentioned a little bit how you combat it. It takes just maybe a couple extra times to go through the process to sort of let it digest. But is there any other ways that you can share that help other people that you deal with your situation that you might want to share?
The best way I've learned things is repetition. Like learning a new song, repeating it over and over, learning a new skill, learning how to draw something new, learning line work, learning any sorts of these things is doing it over and over and over, sitting down, sitting away, looking back at it. Okay, this is what I did. How do I do it again? And then just continuously repeating it until you can start to find your flow into how to manage the new skill.
That's great, Jake. Well, really, thank you for sharing. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into your music career. I'm really excited to hear what you have going on. So stay tuned. We have our guest, Jake Fine, on. He's from our accessible media courses, and he's a musician. We're going to talk a little bit about what he's got going on in the city of Toronto. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with the Today Show.